captive portal is extremely important to understand because in most of the scenarios you might need to use it. Depending upon the type of network, different type of industries are having different requirements. So captive portal will help you to either enforce the policy where you want the users to read the policy first and then accept the license agreement and then start using the internet, or you want the users to enter the voucher and then access the internet, or where you have the user ID password where a user have to first enter and then access the internet. There are various reasons you would have. Let me take you step by step. So we'll go here into the Arista Next Generation Firewall. So I'll be going here to apps, and in apps you will see here captive portal. This is available for free. You don't need to pay anything for this. So I will just simply click here. The moment you click on captive portal, you will of course the standard way, the way you are looking at all other applications. So you will see it here also. Here you will see the sessions. Here you will see the matrices, how many current sessions are there and all of that. Of course, these sessions are not login sessions or login failure. These are all the past sessions. And then here you can see reports, and here you can see active sessions and so on. We will go to the captive page first. So if you see the captive page, this is the default captive page. So it will show you like this. So when the users will be connected to internet, either or LAN or Wi-Fi, so you will click here continue and it will show this particular page, basic login page. So it will ask for the user ID and password, and let me save the changes and let me preview the screen. You can see here user has to enter the user ID and password in order to access the internet. So you can of course customize this captive portal page, for example SyncBricks. So when I save the changes for the basic and when I preview the portal, you can see here I can click here and then it will automatically redirect to the website. You can see here it is redirecting to syncbricks.com. Now how to activate this and where to activate this. Before that, let me show you the user authentication. In user authentication, if you enable the local directory, so whatever we added into local directory, if you remember in the beginning of this course, I mentioned about the user directory and we created one user at that time. So this was the user who was the local user. This is not administrator, of course. We created this user in the local directory. In the configuration section, you can go back and click on the local directory, and in local directory you can add or import all the users and you can provide them the email and password, mainly the login, first name and the password. These has to be added and then you can share this with the users and then users will be able to log into your network. So how you will do that? I will go back again to apps, and in captive portal I will simply go to the user authentication. Of course we added, but we will say that user authentication is local. So local directory is defined here. It will take the local authentication from there. Of course you can also connect it with your Microsoft account, Google account, or any other directory connector, Active Directory, or any auth provider. And here, whether you want to track the login using MAC addresses or allow cookies based authentication or allow concurrent logins. So depending upon whether you want to control the logins, that user should not be able to log in from other places or multiple times, so you can do that. I'll say idle timeout 0, which means that even if user is not doing any activity, it will keep on logged in. And here is timeout minutes, which is 60, which means that user is not doing any activity, user will be logged out. So it is good idea to keep the timeout minute to secure your network also. So I will say it 120, maybe 2 hours I want to give the access, and then user will need to re-log in order to start using it again. Here we will also mention the past hosts. For example, if you want to allow the user, for example, if I do it for myself, 172.16.1.12, I can add it here, and you can see here past listed server addresses. So I can, for example, add this particular IP address 172.16.1.1. You can do it in this way also. Let me save these changes. This is for the time being added here, but let me go back to now capture rule. So we saw user authentication, we saw the captive page, we saw the past host. We will click on capture rules now, and here you can see any non-WAN. I will not use this particular capture rule. Maybe I have multiple DHCP ranges on my network. So what I want to do, I want to capture all the new users. So what I'll do, new users on my network. So I will say add condition. It will be source address, and source address will be 172.16.1.100 to 172.16.1.100. 200. So this range I want to capture, and the moment I do this range, so whoever will be having the IP addresses from this range to this range, they will be captured. Even if I don't mention LAN or WAN, so it will capture these source addresses. So let me see if this works. Now my IP address is of course 172.16.1.12, and I have also added it to pass list. I will remove it from the pass list for the time being, and I will start capturing from, for example, 170.16.1.2 to 1.12 capture. Now let me try to access. I will be simply closing this page here, and I will go back here to Wi-Fi. I will disconnect the Wi-Fi. Here we go, and then connect the Wi-Fi again. Connect. It should now automatically open the page, connect to the network. You can see here, if I click on continue, now it will load the page here. You can see here, this was the website that I wanted to load. And let me log in again, either with the arista.simplex.com, or of course you can have the IP address. And now I will just change its setting of captive portal. Instead of basic page, I will be changing it to basic login, and I will just simply change it. Here if I go to status, now in status you can see that I am already logged in. I will just simply log it out, and now I will just close this page again, and I will just disconnect the Wi-Fi and reconnect again. Let me see. Enter with your user ID and password. I will enter that and password here. So the moment user is authenticated, then it will load the default redirect page. I will again go to my firewall, and let me now log in with Arista administrator account. Go to apps, captive portal, and here if you see right now, this shows that this particular user is logged in with the username this. So earlier it was anonymous if you just provide the captive page, but here you can see now it is with the user ID and password. You can change the capture rule also. Instead of this specific range, maybe I can change it to from 2. Instead of 2, I will do from 150 to 200, and that will be maybe used for guests, depending upon how you want to configure it. Of course, it all depends on your network configuration. And I will go back here, I will make it basic authentication. Welcome to Amjad's home network. So this will be kept for the users to log in case they want to log in. They will click the agree terms and conditions and click continue. So this is how it will work in future. When the users will be logged in, of course, you can go back into configuration, into your network, into your DHCP server, and you can keep on adding those users which are, of course, allowed to access. So these are the IP addresses that I have used now from 2 to 51. Of course, these are the IP addresses which will be not captured. So whenever any new user or whenever any new IP address will be captured against the DHCP server. So if I go back here to the interfaces, I go back to LAN and click here on edit, you will see here that the DHCP configuration is from 100 to 254. I will make it. So any new IP addresses which is captured from 100 to 254, I want them to capture into the captive portal. So captive portal will be enabled, and I will make sure that capture rule is updated here, and I want to ensure that if the IP address is from this range from 100 to 254, it will automatically capture that. So it will not be, of course, in the static map. So it will be dynamically assigning. So whatever new users will be coming, they have to go through the captive page. So they will get this page in order to log in. And then is, of course, the user authentication, whether you want to ask them to go through the local directory or the radius server or active directory or whatever authentication methods you are going to use, you can use that. So for Google Authenticator, it requires the SSL inspector, of course, and it of course is not available for free, so you will need to have SSL inspector. Microsoft also, you must have the auth provider, and Active Directory you will require the directory connector. So all of these are of course paid features, but you can have the local directory here, which is of course for free. You don't need to pay anything for that. And it will not ask for any local directory here. So the custom page feature is not available anymore in Arista Next Generation Firewall. Of course, it was already available on Entangle, but I don't see it here. So this was all about captive portal. This way you can of course control the users, either to restrict them to follow the policy first and then log in, and otherwise you can have the user ID and passwords based authentication. Based on that, the users will be logging in and they will be accessing your network. So with this, we have completed the captive portal. Let us continue to the next video and understand what we can do in Arista Next Generation Firewall.